Welcome to my YouTube channel Samarth ESP. Today we are discussing the theater of absurd. Before, in many videos, we have discussed the drama types. Today, the last one, the theater of absurd. Theater of absurd introduction. The theater of absurd is a movement resultant up by many diverse plays written between 1940s and 60s. When it was first staged and performed in theatre amidst their audiences, as it was shockingly diverse than whatsoever had been staged before these plays. So the term was coined by critic Martin Esslin in the early 1960s, and this movement is deeply rooted in existential philosophy and the post Second World War cultural disillusionment that swept through Europe and beyond. Now see what are the historical roots and context of this movement. So this is first फ्रांस में ये उभरा पहली बार जब वहाँ के अल्फ्रेड जेरी ने उबू द किंग उबू रोई इसका जो नाम है इसमें एंटिसिपेशन पहले किया था व्हाट इज एब्सर्डिस्ट थिएटर ये ऑडियंस को शॉक करता है अराजकता के कारण और इलॉजिकल ड्रामा के कारण तो इसमें जो बेतुकापन है उसकी मनोदशा है और नाटकीयता है दोनों का अनुमान लगाया गया था और साहित्य से जुड़े अभिव्यक्तिवाद और अति यथार्थवाद के आंदोलनों के साथ साथ 1920 के दशक में एक फ्रेंच काफ्का हैं जिन्होंने ट्रायल और मेटामॉर्फोसिस के द्वारा इंट्रोड्यूस किया था एलियनेशन और ब्यूरोक्रेटिक एब्सर्डिटी एंड एग्जिस्टेंशियल थ्रेड एज लिटरेरी थीम्स। तो ये क्या है, काफ्का क्या कहना चाह रहा है इससे? तो ये एक कल्पना है जिसके अंदर वो बताते हैं कि जो तृतीय विश्व युद्ध की भयावहता थी उसके बाद की जो परिस्थिति हुई उन्होंने पारंपरिक संस्कृति थी और साहित्य की बुनियादी मान्यताओं और मूलों के खिलाफ विद्रोह के रूप में इस तरीके से अपने आप को खड़ा किया कि वो सारी की सारी चीजें डिस्टॉर्टेड फॉर्म था उसका, उस रियलिटी को कि सब मुखौटा था ह्यूमैनिटी का और all that related to the mankind or their welfares। ये जो इरेशनल माइंड है वो कुछ और कर रहा होता है सबके लिए। सो दैट वाज ऑल देयर इंट्रोड्यूस इन द थिएटर ऑफ एब्सर्ड। तो दैट शॉक्ड द ऑडियंस बिकॉज द हॉरर्स जो सेटल्ड हुआ था फेथ उन लोगों का और जो फ्यूल किया उसने रिवेलियन अगेंस्ट ट्रेडिशनल कल्चर वैल्यूज को। सो दैट वाज द मेन प्राइम कंसर्न। और ये जो एडवेंट ग्रेट मूवमेंट्स थे इस तरीके के, इन्होंने रियलिज्म को जो यथार्थवाद थी उसको चैलेंज करते हैं ये और ये आत्मसात करते हैं उन चीज़ों का, भले वो रियलिटी बेतुकी हो, बेहूदी हो या उससे तकलीफ होती हो और वो आपके सबकॉन्शियसनेस में इरेशनल प्रभाव डालती हो, फिर भी उसके बावजूद भी इन्होंने। नाउ वी डिस्कस द फिलोसॉफिकल फाउंडेशंस of Albert Camus and his absurdity. So, in 1942, in his writing *The Myth of Sisyphus*, I think it is an essay in which Albert Camus is saying that in a universe suddenly deprived of illusions and of light, man feels a stranger, and that feeling is the feeling of absurdity. So, जो universe है ये deprived है, it is completely deprived of the illusions and of light at the same time, and that's through that the man feels a stranger in itself, and that feeling is of absurdity, where if we found ourselves that there's no meaning or the purpose of life. So what he really argued, so Camus argued that human existence is inherently meaningless and devoid of purpose. So this is the absurd term arises from the conflict between humanity's deep desire for meaning and the universe's absolute silence, where you find no answer there of your right question or the question which is deep rooted in your own psychic impression to find what is meaningless or purposeful in life. So you will feel always that there's no question of making you contented that what is the meaning of life and what is the purpose of life. So always you will be uh, removed from that ideological questions. So this philosophical foundation became the bedrock of the entire absurdist theatrical movement. Let's talk the critical assessment. Here we have the Martin Esslin. and the M.H. Abraham, their critical remarks over the drama, the theatre of absurd. So Martin Esslin defined absurd theatre as the purest expression of the human conditions, futility, a stage where logic dissolves and meaninglessness reign. And M.H. Abraham assessed that the post-1940s drama rejected the assumption of a rational, ordered universe. Humanity is portrayed as isolated, alienated, and searching fruitlessly for meaning in an indifferent world, caught in anguished and absurd existence. In Abraham's writing, it is written that the current movement, however, emerged in France after the horrors of World War II as a rebellion against basic beliefs and values of traditional culture and literature. So, what was that traditional culture and literature? So, this tradition had included the assumptions that human beings are fairly rational creatures who live in an at least partially intelligible universe, that they are part of an ordered social structure, and that they may be capable of heroism and dignity even in defeat. So, that is the cultural tradition and the literature under which the movement was completely ordered, but the current movement is raised against that movement after the 1940s. However, there was a widespread tendency, especially prominent in the existential philosophy of men of letters such as Jean-Paul Sartre and Albert Camus, to view a human being as an isolated existence. So, in this particular movement, the human being is not an free existential man, but an isolated man who is living in an unordered social structure. So, who is cast into an alien universe to conceive the human world as possessing no inherent truth, value, or meaning, and to represent human life in its fruitless search for purpose and significance. So, fruitless search है. The search is also not, related to the any purpose or significance, as it moves from the nothingness whence it comes towards the nothingness. So it is, the search is completely moving from nothingness to nothingness, where it must end as an existence which is both anguished and absurd. So nothing is there than the anguishedness and the absurdity in the search of human being. What is the basic existential questions that explored through these writings? That we can say the core theme of the theater of absurdity. So that we see the question one: what is life? Why we are here? Is there any purpose to our existence? And then why must we die? Why is there injustice and suffering throughout the life of human being? And then the human perplexity and misperception as dramatic drivers, then the search of meaning in a silent indifferent universe. So the search is has no meaning, only the silence is there in this अस्वाभाविक जो दुनिया है उसके अंदर. So absurdist play force audiences to confront these unanswerable questions. तो ये जितने भी ऑडियंस निकलते हैं ऐसे प्ले को देखकर, उनको सामना करना पड़ता है उन क्वेश्चंस का जो आंसरेबल नहीं है कभी भी, जिसमें ह्यूमन फ्यूटिलिटी, उसके उसका खालीपन, उसका एलियनेशन और उसका पर्पसलेसनेस थ्रू आउट द लाइफ दिखाई देता है, जहाँ पे वो वेटिंग कर रहा है, सिर्फ वेटिंग कर रहा है और उसे कभी उसका आंसर नहीं मिल पाता है. जैसे आप देखेंगे, एक है नॉवल सैमुअल बैकेट्स की, वेटिंग फॉर गुडवुड. उसमें टोटल ये पिक्चरेशन है कि उसमें बहुत ज़्यादा संवाद भी नहीं होते हैं, साइलेंसेस इज देयर, कैरेक्टर्स बैठे हुए हैं, वो अपने आप में खुद ही भद्दे लगते हैं, और टोटल जो उसका, इसको हिंदी में देखेंगे एब्सर्डिटी, तो भद्दापन ही है उसमें. देयर इज नो मीनिंग ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर सॉर्ट ऑफ राइटिंग, और वो लास्ट तक जाके वो समझ भी नहीं आता कि हो क्या रहा वहाँ पे. सो सब कुछ मीनिंगलेस है, पर्पसलेस है, and nothing is eventual there in the waiting for Godot, and they're waiting, keep waiting. No, at the end is going to be something which is fruitful, purposeful, or meaningful throughout. Now, the key themes of theater of the absurd. सो व्हाट इज द मोटिव बिहाइंड द की थीम्स? सो मोटिव यही है कि ब्रेक डाउन ऑफ लैंग्वेज एंड कम्युनिकेशन है। वहाँ पे कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा कि कम्युनिकेट हो रहा है, साइलेंस है, जो कुछ हो रहा है रिपीटेशन में हो रहा है, डिलीवरेट नॉनसेंस है। सो आप देख सकते हैं कि समथिंग विच इज अ काइंड ऑफ नॉन सीरियस थिंग इज गोइंग ऑन दैट सॉर्ट ऑफ प्ले। और ह्यूमन कंडीशंस वहाँ पे कंप्लीटली फ्रूटलेस है, fruitless search for meaning. Nothing is evolved there, that is, a sort of things which can be useful for anyone. So rejection है ट्रेडिशनल नैरेटिव लॉजिक का, साइक्लिकल है, फ्रेगमेंटेड है, और नॉन लीनियर प्लॉट्स है। प्लॉट्स में कोई कनेक्शन नहीं है, सो वी हैव completely fragmented things we are seeing such in such narrative logic. रिचुअलिस्टिक, ड्रीम लाइक, माइथोलॉजिकल और एलोगोरिकल ड्रीम ड्रामेटिक एलिमेंट्स वहाँ पर आप देख सकते हैं। लिटिल बिट इट्स मेक यू completely puzzled what sort of thing is going on there at the play. देन द मेजर ड्रामेटिस्ट ऑफ द मूवमेंट, थोड़ा डिस्कस कर लेते हैं इसके मेजर कौन कौन है ड्रामेटिस्ट। सो मैंने बात की थी, सबसे पहले सैमुअल बेकेट है, इनका बेस्ट माना जाता है। द थिएटर ऑफ एब्सर्डिस्ट का जो एग्जाम्पल है वो वेटिंग फॉर गोडोट, देर विल बी हैप्पी डेज एट द एंड व्हेन द गोडोट जब आ जाए, गोडोट कभी आता नहीं है। यूजिन लोनेस्को का है द बाल्ड सो सोप्रेनो, जीन जेनेट का है द मेट्स, द बालकनी एंड द ब्लैक्स। इसके बाद हेरोड पिंटर है द रूम एंड द होम कमिंग। आर्थर एडेमोव का है पाइनियर एब्सर्डिस्ट वॉइस। फर्नांडो एराबेल है यहाँ पे, जिनका पिकनिक ऑन द बैटल फील्ड है। व्हाट सॉर्ट ऑफ पिकनिक ऑन द बैटल फील्ड, आई जस्ट अंडरस्टैंड। एडवर्ड एलबी यूएसए के हैं ये, हु इज अफ्रेड ऑफ वर्जीनिया वुल्फ। सो दीज आर सम ऑफ द बेस्ट theater of absurdist plays or the novel. You can imagine these writings through the writer's own conception and the interpretation. So these are some major works that has the key significance for this drama sought theatre of absurd, and we are now discussing the traditional versus absurd theatre. So what is the difference between the traditional plays and the absurd play? So in the traditional theatre, that only attempts to create a pictorial camera or the picture or the images, that is friendly depiction or the exhibition of the life as we often see. And as we compare this to the theater of absurd, then theater of absurd intends to develop a ritual like vision that is hidden in the human beings, some sort of questions that is unanswerable. So it is closely related to the world of dreams with its mythological, archetypal, allegorical ideas, in that the main pivotal of such dreams is often man's fundamental perplexity and misperception, curtailing from the fact that he is no answer to the existential questions such as what is life, why are we here, if this has any purpose of life, why we are alive, why we have to die, why there is injustice and suffering, and so on. Many questions at the same time. So traditional theatres are logical in their plot, realistic in their characters, casual in their narrative, searching for meaning, and seeing the world is ordered, that is ordered universe. As far as theater of absurd, that always depict, exhibits exhibits illogical psychical plots, dreamlike and mythic imagery, fragmented dialogue, highlights meaninglessness and existential fatality. So, where tradition seeks resolution, absurdism embraces ambiguity, rejecting rational structure, linear time, and purposeful action in favor of anguished, repetitive, and surreal human experience. Let's see the mood and dramaturgy in absurd theatre. That is especially the atmosphere and technique employed in the theatre of absurd. So, what is the mood that is there? Alienation, confusion, dark humor, existential dread, pervade, absurdist drama, leaving audiences unsettled yet reflective. And now see the dramaturgy, that is fragmented dialogue, deliberate pauses, and pregnant silences replace conventional speech. Repetition and cyclical action undermine narrative progress. Non-linear timelines dissolve cause and effect logic, while ritualistic, dreamlike staging transforms the stage into a space where time, meaning, and identity completely collapsed. And see the legacy and influences on the modern drama, that is the impact especially on the modern drama. So it is fundamentally challenged theoretical conventions, dismantling traditional narrative and structures and reshaping how drama communicates meaning. Its radical techniques, fragmented dialogue, cyclical plots, and existential silence paved the way for postmodern theater and experimental performance art worldwide. Today, its influence endures in contemporary playwrights who continue to explore alienation, identity, and the human condition, affirming the movement's lasting relevance in confronting life's deepest existential dilemmas. So, summary and reflection at the end, we can see here. It holds a mirror of humanity's deepest existential struggles. We're questioning meaning, purpose, and the silence of the universe. Its power lies in provoking thought about communication, existence, and the human condition. By embracing illogic, fragmentation, and dark humor, it compels audiences to confront discomfort and ambiguity, transforming uncertainty into a profound artistic experience. Thank you. Like and subscribe, and we will discuss in our another playlist the elements of drama. Thank you.